Hi everyone, Emma here. I'm back from France. I've had a quick break, which was much needed. And whilst I was away, I had a reply about the outcome of the financial assessment, which was including the Disability Related Expenses, the DREs. Now, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, I suggest you go back and look at the other videos about the DREs and the process that I've been going through, the journey that I've been going through. So basically so when you have like a care package, so money for support from the council, you will be expected to make a contribution. Each council is different, so those amounts can vary greatly throughout the country. My daughter used to live in Surrey and the contribution there was £16. She's relocated to Northumberland and they are wanting, I think it's like £54 something or other. The way that you can get those costs reduced are if you have legitimate disability related expenses. So that means like the cost of things that are directly related to your disability. And so anything that's like a cost that's purely because of your disability has to be taken off the amount that you have to pay, because the government says you have to have enough to live off. And so I was disappointed with the letter and the outcome. They have reduced her care contribution by £3.43. Considering the amount of things I put in, you know, I was hoping that it would be reduced more. They have accepted some things and not accepted others. And so what I have done is copied and forwarded the letter that I received, which was pointing out what they've accepted and what they've not accepted and why they've not accepted it. And I've copied that to a contact that I have at the Down Syndrome Association, who have been super helpful in the past. And if your person has Down syndrome, then I highly recommend you getting in touch with them for any support that you may need, because they are absolutely fantastic. And so I showed him the letter, and he was saying that he didn't think that the reasons they had given were particularly lawful or under the guidance. And so he asked if I wanted him to write a reply, and I did. You know, it was great. I was on holiday, I was trying to relax and forget about all this, and it was like really fantastic to have someone do that. So take any help that you actually get offered. And so he wrote a reply, which was pretty cool. It was referencing, it basically says, thanks for your letter, that we're formally requesting a review of the decision, as several of the refusals appear to be inconsistent with the Care Act, the Care and Support Statutory Guidance, and the recent Local Government and Social Care Omnibus findings. And it says this letter sets out the relevant legal requirements, case precedent, and the specific points I'm challenging. And so it's quite a lengthy letter, reminding Northumberland County Council of the Care Act and the statutory guidance, and then also the relevant Local Government and Social Care Ombudsman. Not an easy word for me to say. So the relevant decisions around that, and there have been multiple complaints where council have either failed to properly assess the DREs or imposed unreasonable evidence requirements, and they've like set out the most recent complaints that have been upheld by the ombudsman. And it says that these cases demonstrate a consistent position that the disability related costs must be considered on their merits, and councils cannot impose disproportionate evidential demands or refuse costs that are directly connected to assessed needs. And so then we've gone through the specific points of challenge, the things they've refused. So they've refused PA related costs for activities, and they've refused the cost around DIY and gardening and window cleaning. They've refused the cost of meals at a day centre. And so they've challenged those. And so I've sent that letter in. I sent it on, not quite sure, I think Monday or Tuesday. So we'll wait to see what they say about that, and whether they then include those costs and what the final care charge will be. So in light of all that, I've also written to update my local councillor, and because I just think, like, you know, it's like councils need to be doing these things properly. It feels to me that it's a battle all the time to get every little last thing, and I don't really understand why it's like that. So I just find this letter a sec. Okay, so I have the email that I haven't sent it yet. I'm gonna send it after this, and I've basically just said that I've given the copy of the letter and the outcome, so that they're up to date on knowing what's going on. And then I've just kind of written and saying, over the course of the DRE assessment, I've observed repeated delays and refusals that appear to misinterpret or ignore what is legally required under the Care Act and the Care and Support statutory guidance. While individual errors might be understandable, the pattern of refusals, particularly around unavoidable costs for personal assistance, DIY, household tasks, day centre meals and activity related costs, gives the impression that the council is prioritising budget savings over lawful and fair support for disabled people. And I've said that I'm concerned that vulnerable individuals are being left with less money than they need to meet their disability related costs, and that families are forced into lengthy and stressful battles to secure rights that should be automatically respected. Emotional and physical burdens are placed on carers who are willing and able to advocate, even though the system should not require such a fight, and the approach undermines the principles of fairness and dignity enshrined in the Care Act, placing vulnerable people at risk of social isolation and unmet needs. And I've said that I believe the issue is systemic and reflects a culture where legal obligations for supporting disabled residents are misinterpreted or selectively applied in order to limit expenditure. This can't be acceptable, as the law exists to protect the rights of the most vulnerable and not provide councils with financial leeway in their expense. It would be, and I'd be grateful if you could raise these concerns with the department to ensure that assessments and decisions are made promptly, fairly and in full compliance with statutory obligations. People like Ashley should not have to fight to secure what is legally and morally right. And so I just feel like, why even is there a battle? Like, you know, I get that they have like funding issues and they need to take them to their people. You know, I'm taking this to the people I need to take it to. And if councils have funding issues and they're being underfunded, which You know, they say they are, but, you know, I also know a lot of waste that goes on in the council, not maybe in adult social care, but in other areas that I absolutely know goes on. And so it's like, how much do they do it to themselves, you know? But, you know, it's not my job to take these things to government. If that's what they need to do their job and get that done as well. But what should not be happening is that vulnerable people with disabilities and actual disability related expenses, you know, you shouldn't have to fight this hard to get that money. It's their legal right, it's their ethical right. The Care Act and all the other legislations are very clear that people need to be left enough money, and these are real costs, they're not made up costs, and it shouldn't be a fight to get them off. They should just do what's right. They should do what's right in their assessments and not leave it, you know, not like have it so that, like, you know, people are paying their contribution, maybe not even knowing about the DREs, maybe not being able to even navigate the system, you know. And so councils are like getting away with things that they shouldn't be getting away with, and vulnerable people are being left, what in my opinion is you know, financially abused by the council. So, you know, I just feel very strongly about this, and, you know, no matter how tired I am, and believe me, I am sick to the back teeth of this, of like fighting for this. Like, let's not forget that, like, whilst we're fighting for this, my daughter isn't getting any budget for any support worker, for anything. And so, like, they're saving money. In fact, every month, every week that goes by that they're not paying for the support that they say that she needs, that they've assessed that she legally needs, they're not doing it. They're not giving her the support, because we've got to get past this and we've got to get the contributions sorted out, which, you know, I'm not even sure whether it's legal for them to withhold the support whilst we sort this out. I don't really know. So that's where we are, and I'll come back on when I get a response about that and let you know how it's going. So if you're having a similar battle with disability related expenses, I'd love to know. Put it in the comments. Let me know what you've done, if anything. And, you know, as always, and like I said to someone at the weekend, you know, if you can't do this, if you haven't fought, if you can't fight, if you just don't have, you know, enough energy, there's no blame on you whatsoever. It is, you know, it is terrible that people have to fight like this. It is absolutely awful. And so there is no judgment from me about if you haven't done this, you can't be bothered to do this. You know, you are doing the absolute best you can. But, you know, there are people out there that can help. There's advocates, and you're entitled to an advocate. And, you know, like I said, if your person has Down syndrome, I'd suggest getting in touch with the Down Syndrome Association. And I can't vouch for any other associations like the Autistic Society, or, you know, I don't even know if that's what it's called, but anything like that. I don't really know what they're like. I've never used them, but it's definitely worth a try. And it's worth a try, like, also contacting your local counsellor, because, and like getting in touch with their local counsellor, because, you know, they are the people that have taken that position and want to take that position because they represent us. And so I'm just like, well, okay, here you go, you can have all this then. So anyway, I'll stop there. Bye for now. Take care.